together. IPSA. We're not just a name in a directory. Local minds with national synergy.
Welcome, bienvenue, welcome to the all-new shiny IPSA channel, IPSA Kind of Magic. And of course, with me as usual, Hamish McClay of Search and Convey, and today's special guest, Val Bennett, Home Information Searches, a member of IPSA and friend of the show. Welcome, Val.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see you.
It's lovely to have you here. And today's topic is not the route you'd expect. Now, that seems very cryptic, but I'm going to get Hamish to explain all.
Well, yes, we speak of our journey to becoming search agents. And, I mean, it's good to understand. I'm glad we've got Val here because hers is quite a fascinating one. I love the tales from those days before it became well, it's not exactly popular because there aren't many people in the country that do it. I think... I mean, there's one other aspect as well. It's on the face of it, it sounds straightforward, but it isn't actually sort of quite easy. And there's no telling quite what people have done to actually sort of get here. Be interesting what we'll actually do. I mean, this will be the first of many because we really like to get a few others go on and let us know what journey brought them in this particular sort of direction. I mean, mine was a strange one. I started off in education for the first part of my journey through life, moved into the wondrous sort of world of engineering, automotive particularly. So I was an engineering buyer there. So I learned all these lovely ideas about the, if you like, traceability and all sorts of stuff like that, which of course suited my mind. I don't know necessarily that this suits everybody's mind. Certainly our daughter, it didn't suit her mind when we first got her involved. But by crikey, is she good now? But what I actually sort of then thought, well, hey, come on, Amy, it's about time you work for yourself. I had tried a little stint in engineering to get my own companies together, which didn't go on very well. And I was actually, in a way, I was looking for something to do. And within my path, for whatever reason, out came this particular sort of idea of local authority search. Now, I'd done some work, actually, whilst I was in between my engineering posts. I'd done some work with local councils on business rates and stuff. And it strikes me as being daft now. I got into this industry, really, because I found out how difficult they were. But it's a long old training curve. And if you bring somebody in to this particular sort of world, it can actually be a tough way. Because you can gently, and it depends how you train people. We've never had a challenge in training people. We always took our time because we realized the complications. But I was actually looking, and I came across this, and I could actually sort of go along to a conference thing and actually figure out. I thought, well, that's going to be good. Spoke to my wife, and there we were, thinking we knew everything. Did we? Anyway, Val's is a really good story.
Oh, I don't know whether it's a good story, but I can fill the next 5 minutes chatting about it anyway. Yeah, I mean, my story obviously is actually through my my dad and my mum, because as people who listen to this will know, my dad was one of the very first search agents in the country, and he got involved in it through there was two companies in London, Jordan's and what were they called? I can't even remember now. ICL maybe. And they were sort of running, there was a jobs fair in Manchester at the town hall. My dad was looking for a new job. There was a stall there saying, come and be search agents. So we need search agents to travel the country and to get this information. So he thought, right, go on, I'll have a go at that. And then he got involved with ICL or ICC. I can't remember. And then that obviously that was in the days of typewriters. It was pre anything technological. It was typewriters. There was no no computers then, etc. He would go to the council and get the information, type it up on his imperial typewriter, which was sitting on the passenger seat, while he got it off in the post that night to send it off to wherever it needed to go to. Then as the years went on, and then he got involved more with it, and my mum was a legal secretary, so she knew solicitors, etc. And they said, oh, can you do this for us, please? This will be really good. Because back then in the 80s, it was 3 months, 6 months waiting for a search, not very different to how it still is now, even, 40 years later. And then I had my daughter, who's now, well, she's 39 now, so that tells you how long ago this is. And then obviously, I mean, I'd been in admin, that was kind of my background. And then in between her going to school and me going, I'll be a lollipop lady, I'll be a dinner lady, I'll be all these things that fit in with school time. And I thought, nah, I don't fit any of these. So I said to my parents, I said, I'll help you out. Come on, let me have a go at doing what you do. And I thought, well, this will be really handy because I can take my daughter with me in the school holidays. That'll occupy her as well. So from her being very young, she learned all about, she remembers very clearly all the sheets at the town halls, all the OS sheets, all the filing cabinets, because in those days, we used to go into the town halls. We would go there and we would make the appointments, and they didn't mind little children being in there. They were all very good with it. I think times would be very different now if you suddenly were to take your children with you while you were doing your searches.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, and I mean, obviously, things have changed and times have changed, but I think obviously there's there was franchises that came in, and people came in from different directions. Like Jackie, we know, came in from working in land charges. They didn't like people, well, they weren't keen on people going in and, doing the job when they thought, well, we can do this as well. So they got involved. So there's lots of different avenues. I learned basically from the grassroots of just going out there and just doing it. The advantage is that obviously over the years, I've kind of changed while everything's been changing, and the technology and everything, everything that's been coming into place. I don't know whether I would come into this game now, and a lot of people do, and I think they come into it with a more technical mind, thinking that how easy it is, when it really isn't an easy job. You've got to be detective, you've got to be able to foresee what you think something will be when it isn't, and make those inquiries and questions. Just because your gut feeling tells you that something isn't right, you can't accept anything or everything on face value. So yeah, I mean, I've loved it. I've really enjoyed it. There's days when I didn't hate it, when they brought in home information packs and I was throwing things around the office floor because I had to get things made into binders and etc. But yeah, it's been good, and that's kind of been my journey really. I just kind of thought, oh, I can do this, and it'll mean I won't have to get childcare for the summer holidays for my daughter. So yeah, it's all been good.
But it was a varied journey, yes?
A very varied journey. We've gone through everything, haven't we, Hamish? I mean, but also I think the thing is with like IPSA, when that sort of started 20 years ago, that brought together all these people from all the different backgrounds, all with their own unique knowledge and talent that they were bringing into this industry with them, such as Hamish with his teaching and his engineering, me with the history of going right back to the basics of when we used to just go there, and get all these sheets and get all the, literally just getting everything, the raw materials when nobody else was doing it, and what can I say? I don't know. Do you know what? I'm actually lost for words for a moment then, which doesn't happen very often when I'm on here. But yeah, and then other people got involved. So you've got the technical people that got involved, the computer people that got involved, and slowly it changed, and it advanced and it grew. And it was only from the different mixture of people that got involved and came together, with not having gone through university and done a degree in how to carry out a search because there was no, it literally is a cottage industry, but with everybody that have got their own unique talents, and they all bought that to IPSA, I believe. And that's what makes IPSA what it is. And it makes us all what we are, that we all have our own unique kind of take on things.
Yeah. But the Hamish, it doesn't really matter where your background is. You've had motorsport, you've had teaching. It wasn't about that. I guess it's about the inquiring mind, right?
I think that has a lot to do with it. It doesn't actually appeal to everybody. I mean, there's one or two people we've actually sort of, in fact, no, there was only one thing about it. One person that we actually sort of brought in. She thought she'd like to give it a try, and she lasted a day. She was totally overwhelmed because she thought she needed to know everything at once. But we've now put it in perspective, because one of the great things with IPSA members is if somebody thinks, oh, this could be something, and it is in many respects, it's good, because it's one of those tasks. It never was. I mean, it's quite interesting. Gemma, who works in our Western regions, one of the reasons that she came into the industry was her husband was actually sort of working for, I can't remember their name now, but she was working for one of the companies very sort of earlier on, and so she started working with him. He's moved out of the industry, went back into building, so he's still within the sort of property industry. But she liked the idea because several things, she could work it around the children as the children were sort of growing up, and a bit like Val was sort of saying, she was therefore in the summer holidays. And I mean, those children are still at school, which is quite amusing. But of course, they're that bit older, and they're almost looking after each other. However, the sort of interest that sort of come. I mean, she actually sort of said that she actually enjoyed it from that particular perspective, and she's enjoyed it sort of ever since. So there's that continuation. So the background, of course, so again, we've had 4 or 5 different ways that people come into it. But the great thing around it is there is always support there. And in actual fact, at one stage, I mean, what helped me a great deal was one of the early days, one of our earlier chairmen, actually, he used to run trainings. So he had sort of training on, we put the training, and basically I went through that. So I got an understanding. I'd learned some parts and thought I knew what I was doing until I went through the training. Then I realized I'd known next to nothing. How the heck I got away with it for the first 12 to 18 months, I don't know. But I did sort of succeed in the end. And that was really quite handy. And we've got the training facility now, because we can actually train people from scratch who know nothing about the industry, and we can actually sort of train them. So the information is there with the background and the knowledge that people have. But because we work together, we bring each other on. And somebody say, oh, have you seen this website before? Have you seen that website before? One of the great things is we are within the numbers that we have within IPSA, our independent personal search agent sort of community, as it really is. They have a varied amount of sort of knowledge, as Val sort of said, and they're different things in different council areas. And as a consequence, they need to go down a particular route. I mean, for example, we go down a particular route. Every council used to keep their own specific records relative to, just to put in perspective, relative to buildings of historic sort of nature.
Right.
And so they would keep that information. But bit by bit, some councils want to unload things. They've done it with building regulations. But as far as listed buildings are concerned, those buildings of historic interest, many councils have actually transferred it over to national heritage.
Right.
Now, they haven't done it in certain council areas. And so basically, we were able to actually sort of we went out ourselves and sort of found out exactly sort of how to deal with it, how to handle it. But the thing is, now it puts us in perspective. Somebody's doing it. They haven't come across it before. The training, the information's there. The same with land registry. And we don't have CPD, continuous professional development, actually, as is listed. We just teach each other as we're sort of going along these new ideas. And
it's about sharing. It's sharing with the whole, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And of course, funnily enough, this was one of the things, and we remember sort of Val saying, as she said this a couple of times, when she first got involved, do you want to transfer your knowledge and share it with anybody else? But it can take a while, because in industry generally, it's all fight, isn't it? Whereas in actual fact, there's so much sharing goes on because we're a cooperative.
It's terrible, actually, when you think about it. It's a scenario that you thought that more businesses embraced. That instead of seeing that members of an organization are competitive, see them as collaborative. And it means that you're more likely to get the right person for the right job. I mean, before I pass back to you, to Hamish, to just to see us home, to my mind, what sets IPSA apart from many other organizations, which are typical in this marketplace, is that the information is very parochial. It's very localized. If you have local knowledge, you can make the difference between understanding a search and not understanding a search. And so, for instance, if you wanted to have a Liverpool search done, you pass to the relevant IPSA member in Liverpool, because that's not your area of expertise. And I think that kind of approach is so positive.
Well, definitely. But just, if I interrupt you there, going back to those earlier days when we were one of only literally a handful of people that would ever go into various councils, you didn't really see many people very often doing the same thing you were doing. It was like, that was how unusual it was. But when you did see somebody, you were very much like, who's that? What are they doing? Why are they on my turf, my territory? Or heaven forbid they would ask you a question as to, how do you get this when you're here? Or how do you get that? And you don't, I'm like, I'm not going to tell you. Why would I tell you? It's my council. I'm very protective. We only do like 8 or 10 councils. We do the whole of Greater Manchester. That was what we did, 10 councils. We didn't go outside of that area. That's something my dad would never, ever allow. It was no, if somebody wants to search outside, they have to go somewhere else. We're not doing it. But woe betide if somebody asked me a question of, how do you get this here? It was like, I don't want to tell you. Yeah, I'm giving away trade secrets here, Whereas now it's like people phone me up, on a regular basis. Val, where would you do this? Or how would you do that? Or I've got an issue with this. Have you got any, information that you can share with? And I will gladly share anything with anybody. If I know it, that's fine. I will tell you. But all those years ago, you were and everybody else was the same. You were very protective. If you were writing in your folder, you would keep it, under wraps. So yeah, how times have changed, but it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it back then, going into the councils and actually sifting through that information.
More like the Wild Wild West, though, wasn't it, Val?
It was good. It was good times. It was good days. And, we've all been through so much, and we're all still here to tell the tale, which we didn't think, once the year 2000 came, we thought we were all going to be guzzled down a big hole when the clock changed at midnight. We thought that would be the end of us.
Yeah, I remember that.
HMRL came along. We thought that was the end of us, and we're all still here. The same old faces. Many of them are a lot older faces now. I don't know when it will ever quite finish, or if it ever will. Who knows?
Who knows? Hamish, would you take us home, please, sir?
One of the great things is, it doesn't matter what that past journey is, but what the important thing is what people are doing on this current level. And one of the great things about it is the dedication of the people who are involved. Somehow or other, it sort of takes over, and you become. It's almost the driving force behind you as you're working with this, and it really is, because at the end of the day, we are helping because we have that local knowledge. It would be hard indeed to find anybody that could do a search quicker. I can get searches, as Val probably can do as well. I can get searches done within the hour if there was a need. There is never that particular need, and you never put yourself under that pressure and say that you will do that all the time. You want to take your time over and do it professionally on what you actually want to do it right.
But if you compare that with a factory conveyancing outfit, which are routinely giving weeks as a lead time for search.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing, we have these great stories between us where we turn around and say, we've got this ludicrous thing of you've got to use this particular you've got to use searches from a particular direction, particularly factory conveyors. You can't do anything else because you can't get in there quick enough. Because you can't get the results that quickly they will add a couple of weeks onto it. So if it's 2 weeks, they'll suggest it's 4 weeks because there's a hold up. I mean, it's a bit like at the moment, we've got something like 12, somewhere between 12 and 15 Luton searches, all sat waiting there in a pile, because what Luton do, they don't do them as they come in. They must themselves say, right, okay, we've got this bloody lot for search and convey. They've been chasing us. We better do something about it.
Right.
But it's just knowing people locally and how to operate it and how to work it. But I think the dedication has come through. Whatever anybody's background, it is that kind of business that it does take you over in a way, and in an enjoyable way. Oh, there's pressure there, but it's an enjoyable way that it just takes us all in.
I think it's because you've got a well-trodden process. I think it's all about the process. Thank you so much, Hamish McClay, as ever. And Val Bennett, great stories from the past, which, although they're not indicative of the future, give you the backbone on which you sit. And I think without having, dare I say it, done your time, maybe you wouldn't have such an appreciation for what the landscape is now. Thank you once again, both of you, and to all you watching. There's more to come. We've got 2 more property shows. That is Property Quorum tomorrow at 10, and of course on Friday, Cladding Matters at 1. Until then, take care of yourselves. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. And in these troubled times, please try and look after your mental health. Until then, bye-bye now.
Bye.
Local skill with national connection. Independent, but never alone. IPSA, where your professional home.